very brief, Analytikus, I think our superpower, and this might be valuable for you, is that we only do one thing, and that's advanced analytics and AI for higher education. So that's what we breathe, that's what we eat, that's our full expertise. So we are very much a niche player, very much focused on higher education and analytics and data, and the data that is coming from the transactionals. So that expertise has allowed us to put together a platform, and I'll spend 1 or 2 minutes explaining that platform. Our mission, just kind of the big goal is we want to personalize the experience to an unprecedented level for students and for teaching and learning. We work with higher education institutions in many regions, of course, in Europe being one of our key regions. I'm based out of Spain. By the way, I did introduce myself. For those that I have not met, my name is Miguel. I'm one of the founders. I'm the CEO. I'm based out of Spain. I'll go straight to the point. So we started this journey about 10 years ago. And about 4 years ago, the different solutions that we had, we started putting them together within one umbrella. And this platform, we call it SEAL as the animal, and that's the acronym for Student Experience for Augmented Learning. And very briefly, this is what the platform does. So we have, every institution has its own Frankenstein at the bottom, their own SIS, LMS, ERP, CRM, and other transactional systems generating tons of data. Everything goes up into SEAL, and within SEAL you have different modules, different use cases. This is a modular platform, so they don't need to have everything. They might be just one module for one institution, and then this solution expands the usage towards prospects or students or faculty. So what I'm going to spend, and the next slide is probably going to be the more complete one. I'm going to kind of exploit what SEAL actually is. So the first accelerator, and I think this brings tons of value at the very beginning, is a data schema that we call Whale. Think a little bit like within Fabric, the One Lake has already a pre-built data schema. This data schema has already named tables, named variables, so it's quite easy for institutions to understand, okay, if this is the challenge that I want to solve, what is the data that I need to move from the SIS or from the LMS or from the ERP? On top of Whale, we have the different AI modules. I'll explain that in a second. On top of the modules, we have, and this is the newest component within our platform, given the advent of generative AI, it's the agents engine. On top of that, we have the channels that interact with the stakeholders, and then we always include a consulting approach to make sure that the solution is being used in the best sense. Okay, so what are the headaches that we attempt at solving? Admissions. What is the probability of a prospect converting into a student? How could I maximize the conversions and minimize the inversion, the investment? Retention. How could I identify beforehand the students at risk? Academic risk, financial risk, risk of dropping out. Skills planner. How could I prescribe the courses that will maximize the employability of a student? And then augmented learning. How could I literally and actually help a student learn better? And I'll explain this in a second, but these are the 4 pains, the 4 headaches that we try to solve. Every module has already a pre-built set of reports that we call SEAL Insights, and every module has a set of AI agents that solve very specific use cases. So for example, for retention, predicting the probability that a student is going to drop out. A few years ago, that was it. That's what we gave the institution. Miguel has a probability of 80%, and these are the drivers. What we do now with the agents is that proactively, an agent is going to reach out to the student and say, Miguel, we're seeing that you're struggling attending your math class. Do you know that we have these resources at the university? So trying to proactively support students at risk. This could go towards the student, this could go towards the mentor, and every module has its own set of agents. I'll go explaining the different modules in a little bit more detail. Admissions optimizer. What we're trying to do is predicting the probability of a prospect converting, and this is being done by lead scoring, identifying the attributes that explain the best candidate so that the campaigns are optimized. And we also prescribe to the commercial team how to follow up, when to follow up in order to maximize conversions. There's a set of different agents that also support in this exercise. We've been doing this with the largest Catholic educational group in Spain. It's called CEU. They have a very focused strategy on trying to attract international students. So for them to be able quite rapidly to identify the high potential candidates allows them to use their resources wisely. We're starting a new project now with Universidad Europea. We just started literally last month. So by next quarter, we'll probably start sharing more about this other customer with this use case. Foresight, predicting the probability of a student being at risk. This is the oldest of our solutions. We've been doing this for 8 years or so. The core is machine learning set of modules. It's not only one model, because we predict continuously for different segments the probability of dropping out. So remember, we have whale pushing the data to the different models, and then we activate the different agents to directly launch interventions with the student or to directly support a mentor on how to follow up with a specific student at risk. One use case, Uniminuto, it's a university out of Colombia. They are very much focused at the bottom of the population, a very vulnerable population, with close to 100,000 students. So imagine following up to those students at risk. It's really hard, no? About 30,000 students drop out every year, which is about 30%. So just to be able to select which students should be pursued and supported, it's a tremendous value to minimize the student attrition. The third one is what we call skills planner. And remember, what we're trying to do here is to maximize employability. So we use generative AI to extrapolate out of the courses that the student has completed or alumni, the skills that they have developed, what are the skills that they have. We also extrapolate what are the skills that the market is demanding in order to identify the gap between what the market demands and what the student or the prospect has. Once we understand that gap, we prescribe a set of courses to close that gap and support on the career plan. Again, we have agents, and this is the front end pretty much, that allow the alumni for continuous education or for students to interact and understand what are the courses that they should take in order to close this gap. One of the universities that use this solution is University of Murcia here in Spain. And I think beyond the impact for the student or for the alumni, just to have this sense on how aligned the curriculum is with the market brings tremendous value to the higher education institution now that things are changing faster than ever, and academia historically has not been that fast on realigning their offering with the market. So the three solutions that I just described are very much in the space of student success. The last one is rather in the space of learning. So we extract about 200 variables from the LMS. They go into Whale, and then we infer through a learning analytics framework how a student learns in terms of executive functions, social skills, willingness to learn, and achievements. Once you understand that, an agent supports the student. One of the demos that I'll do really fast has to do with not how only I could support the student, but how I could support the teaching effort if I continuously understand how the students learn. And I'll share that with you in a second. And the other component within augmented learning is what we call learning body. And basically, is an AI tutor that tries to figure out where the student is struggling in order to support him proactively. With academic support, closing the knowledge gaps, increased self-efficacy, performance improvement. And the way to do this is basically through personalized assistant pedagogical responses. And because this is also sitting on top of portrait, which is how we infer how the student is learning, the responses are very much aligned on how the student learns. So I'm going to jump very briefly to show you a demo. For portrait, remember what we're trying to do here is infer how a student learns. And we've developed a learning analytics framework with 16 building blocks that have to do with executive functions, social skills, emotional indicators, and achievement. And this takes place for every single student. Data is aggregated also for a professor view and aggregated for an institutional view. So we can see a particular student, and let me go there, a particular student on any of those indicators: procrastination, inattention, organization, high capabilities, introversion, and so on and so forth. Once we understand how a student learns, and remember, this is gathering the data from the signals that the student is leaving behind on the LMS, we proactively send nudges using this behavioral economics messaging to indirectly trying to modify negative behavior. For instance, learn to listen and let others speak too. To avoid interrupting others before starting to talk, ask, have you finished? May I give you my opinion? So these tips are pushed by the agent, and the student can interact with this agent. What happens if you aggregate this data for a particular course at the professor level? So now I'm a professor 1010, I have this view, but even better than this, what I'm going to show you now is the agent that interacts with the student. So let me jump here. Internally, we've named the agent for professors and faculty Socrates. For students, it's called Emilia. I'm Socrates, your teaching assistant designed to help you teach and learn better. I'm connected to your LMS, which allows me to analyze your students' progress and profiles to provide you with diagnostics on their performance. Based on this information, I can suggest personalized teaching sequences, pedagogical strategies, and resources to help you strengthen learning. Let's do it. So of course, if I would be in a live environment, it would know exactly which professor ID I have. It's going to give me an option of different professors. We're going to say I'm this, English is fine. So we believe the power of generative AI comes mostly from understanding this. So remember, LMS data going into whale, then the algorithm is creating this characterization of how the students learn, and now the support towards the teacher is going even deeper. Okay, so let's do a course diagnostic. In the meantime, while this is loading, I'll share with you foresight, which is the risk. But I wanted to show you the report first. So this use case, predicting the probability of a student getting at risk. It could be risk of dropping out, academic risk. If it is a private institution, it could be financial risk. I have a big view of the institution here, about 30,000 students. every time the model runs, we have kind of a picture, and we can see that by program, by school, by degree, by student type, and we're going to see the details here. And I can see every single student as it runs. I have one program pre-selected, Bachelor of Business Administration. I'm going to see this particular student, T, that ends up with 57. I can see Keely Herman, how the score has moved through time. The generative AI is giving me also a narrative on where this student is. He has this score. This is the balance. What are the dropout drivers? Let me get back to Socrates just for a second. Let's do the diagnostic for these scores. It's going to give me a complete diagnostic based on all the data that Portrait is generating. I'm going to stop sharing in a second, but just wanted to give you how the professor is receiving this diagnostic. So it is using the learning analytics framework to say, okay, this is how the group is. These are the areas of opportunity. For instance, students show moderate readiness and planning skills, time management and self-control are relative strengths. Organization is a clear area for improvement. So we can say, give me some strategies to support them with. So it's going to kind of cross everything. It knows the section that I'm teaching. It knows when I teach. It knows what is the area of opportunity. So it's going to put everything together to give the strategies to the professor. So here are practical classroom strategies to help students in this particular section, improve their organization. Each strategy includes what to do, materials, structure, how to promote metacognition, weekly planning routine, start off with checklists, modular assignment guides, use of time box work sessions, structure and format, assignment rubrics, peer planning, visual course organization, and so on.